Hey everyone, so we are back with the part 4 of our series where now we'll be discussing about GitHub. So on your screen you can see the GitHub profile, and you can also sign up for a new account if you haven't made a GitHub account till now. So you can directly go to github.com and click on sign up to make a new account, and then you can sign in. Okay, so if you sign in, this would be your GitHub profile. If you click on your profile here, so you can go to your own GitHub profile, and this is my GitHub profile where I have customized my GitHub profile using a README file. So you can also do that. The procedure to do that is that you have to create a repository which is exactly of the same name of which exactly matches with your GitHub username, and then you have to create a README file inside that. Okay, so if I go to this repository which is of the same name as my GitHub username, then you can see this is the repository, same name, and yeah, I have a readme file which has the exact same output on my profile as well. Okay, so readme files, also take a note of this, that readme files are the one of the only files in your repository that are expanded and that have a preview on your repository. Okay, no other files in your repository have a preview like this. Okay, only the readme files are expanded like this. In any repository you add, any repository readme files are there, it will be expanded like this in your repository and it will have a preview. Okay, so now let's see how we can make a repository. So for that, let me go to your profile again. Let me click on this tab of repositories, and all of these repositories which you see on your screen are known as remote repositories. Okay, if you want to know the difference between local repository and remote repository, you can watch the part 1 as well. But as we had discussed there, remote repository are the one which are hosted on a remote server and which are also on your GitHub, as we had discussed there. So all of these you see here are remote repositories, and the one which you work in your own system are local repositories. Okay, so if I click on any of these repositories, you have a specific URL, and if you go to that specific URL, you can also see that repository. But if I have a repository on my system, you can't access that. Okay, so to create a new remote repository in GitHub, you have this button which is green in color and labeled as new. You have to click on that. If you have any repository template, you can use that templates. Okay, and if not, you can create your new repository as well, where you have to give a new repository name. Let me give it as git session. Okay, and yeah, it should be a unique repository name. You should not have two repositories with the same name. So yeah, gives you a check mark to confirm the same. Description is optional, you can give it. If you don't want to, it's fine. Public and private, you have two options to create your repositories. Public is which can be seen by everyone, and private is only seen to you and the people you have given access to see that. Okay, so that's the difference. So private, in that you can add your specific colleagues, or if you are working with students of your own team, you can add them to that repository and it would be visible to them only. Okay, so that is what private means, and public is visible to everyone, right? So on, then you have the options of adding a readme file. It's always a tip for you to please maintain readme files, because these are like your summary or introduction to intro to your repository. Okay, in open source, when you're working with a lot of projects, so it's always a thing that readme file is the one thing which will give you the idea of what's happening. Okay, say suppose a third person is visiting your repository, your project which you have hosted on GitHub. So readme file is the one thing which will tell him, which will guide him of what exactly is your project about, what things are in progress, what things are done already, and what is the scope of him to contribute to your repository or project. So you have to maintain this readme file, and as we also saw that in my repository right now, that readme files are expanded and they have a preview, right? So if you maintain that in a really attractive way or in a structured way, obviously it will attract more people to your repository, and it will also ensure that people are contributing something valuable to your project as well. Okay, so yeah, add git ignore is again one of the things which we will cover in this video. Maybe we haven't done that in the part 3, but yeah, surely we'll do that today. And choosing a license is again an important thing when you're working with open source. So create repository. Now a new repository is made with the name we have given there. and the readme file is there. You can see that's a preview again here. Okay, so yeah, and then we have the tab of issues. Okay, let me go to someone else's repository and let me see so that you can get a better idea. Okay, let me go to the React repository. Very familiar, you all must be very familiar with these React there. Now let me go to their issues tab, and you can see all the people have raised issues here. Okay, so it can be like type of issues in the code which is already there in the repository. It can be some kind of bugs, it can be also suggestions, it can be some kind of feature updations. If they have any ideas of adding any new features, they can raise issues and tell you, notify them about you. They can also even give you reviews or some kind of things in this issues, basically like notifying you about issues, bugs, and all of those things. It is done here. Okay, you can see a lot of people have opened. So there are two types of thing which you will see here, that most people open only issues, like they will tell you what is the issue, and some people will open issue plus open a PR. So that now our discussion would go on what is PR, and it is known as pull request. Okay, so what is pull request is that when you are contributing or when you are requesting the owner to merge your written thing, your written contribution or code to his own repository or the main repository, right? So suppose say I want to contribute to this React repository, so I will make my own copy. First of all, I will add my contribution, and then I will open a PR, which is I will open a pull request, that is like requesting the owner of this repository, which is Facebook / React, to accept my contribution. So if he merges, if he approves my pull request, then the code would be merged and would be visible here in the code tab here. Okay, so if it get merged, so here you can see these are open pull requests. You can see the green symbol, so these are open pull requests right now, these are not merged. Okay, if I click on this closed here, and if I see this purple ones are the ones which are merged, and this all these changes which are there in the purple ones are reflected in the main repository as well in the code tab. You can also see red things which are rejected or kind of not approved pull request. Okay, so these are like rejected and disapproved, and the green ones are open pull requests, right? So there are two kinds of people, one who would open only issues, and there will be people who will open the issue as well as also open a pull request for you to merge their codes or contribution, right? So you understand about that. And actions is basically it will help you automate the process. We'll look into that as well if we have time, about GitHub Actions. It's a very useful tool when you are working on open source. And then you have projects. If you have specific timelines, you want to maintain some boards and all of that, you can create a project as well, and you have insights about that. And let me go to my repository and show you what all is there in the settings as well. So in settings, if you click, you have your repository name. You can again rename it. You can also create a template out of this. Okay, and then you have features of, as I said, you can actually create projects. You can set up discussion tabs as well. If you want to like create a discussion on your repository, you can have that. You can set up templates, issue templates, basically what I showed you in this issues. So you can create help you only in the later part of the time when you are reviewing those issues. So the discussions you can set up, and all of those settings are there. Then you have a new thing which is known as GitHub Pages, which is like hosting your repository online. Okay, but one thing to note here is that GitHub Pages only supports static kind of website, so which means it supports static languages like HTML and CSS, JavaScript, all of those things. It won't support your like dynamic languages, such as want to run PHP, Python, and all of those projects. You have to resort to some third-party services, and you have to host using that. GitHub only supports static deployments. So if you want to deploy your own repository to a URL, you can go to this pages section. You have to select here, and you have to select the branch. Main is the default branch which you're working on. So you will select main. You don't have to change this. You have to click on save. Okay. And after doing that, actually it will generate a URL for you where you can see the URL. Okay. And Sometimes I have seen that people have reported that still, even after doing all of these steps, your website is not visible. So you have to actually choose a theme as well. Choose any of the themes, doesn't matter. I'm choosing minimal and I'm selecting the theme. Okay, now I'm committing this as well, which is adding this in your readme. I just don't want this. I don't want this all content. Let me keep it as get session only. Okay, so also one more thing which I would like to cover is that readme follows markdown language. So if you don't know how to use markdown, you can obviously learn that. It's very easy. So I will give you a brief idea about that. The one hashtag which I've used is equivalent to h1 tag in HTML. If I do double hashtags, it is like h2 and all of that headings in HTML. Then you can use this to give a description. So this repository is about Git. Okay, so you can do this, like you can add description and all of that, as I said, and then you can also use these things to give an unordered list. So this will show you an unordered list, and it also supports HTML tags. It needs not to be a markdown only, so you can use a mixture of or combination of both the HTML and those things. So now you can see it's updated. And yeah, let me go to settings again and check what if the theme was added or not. So yeah, now you can see, now I am seeing the option of change theme, which means a theme was applied, and now if you click, it would be visible. Okay, since I have not added anything, okay, our repository is completely empty, so I'm seeing this page. Otherwise, if you add any HTML thing in here, it will be hosted on that URL. Okay, let me add a basic HTML thing so that we are okay. So here, let me create and name the file as index.html, and let me add basic HTML code. Okay, so I've added one h1 tag, and let me commit this. Okay, now you have to wait here to get a green check mark, so that means it's deployed perfectly. There's a yellow check mark. Let me refresh it again and check. Yeah, so now you have a green tick mark, which means it's deployed perfectly. Now I will refresh this link, and you can see it's visible here, hi there. Okay, so that is how GitHub Pages works. And again, once again, I'm repeating that it will be only visible like for static languages it supports. If you have dynamic projects in PHP, Python, and all of those languages, it will not be visible. Okay, and here you can see I clicked on about, and there is settings icon. You can click on that and add your description. This is again helpful, but you have to maintain a readme file again. I will add my website link here so that it's easy for people to access it from here, right? So it's visible here. Now any one of you who is visiting this repository can actually click on this link and check what is the status of my repository, or what is like the output of my project. So this is also very helpful if you do like this. Okay, so this is what we saw in the Git, and there are also options. So star is basically repository, or kind of liking this repository or giving it a like or thumbs up. So that is how the concept of star is. And forking is basically, as I said, if you want to contribute to this repository, so what you should do, you should fork the repository, which means like you are making your own copy. This is my copy. You can see here Hariket Sukesh /git session. It is my, I am the owner of this repository, right? If you want to make the same, like if you want to take the copy of this repository, make the copy of this repository such that you are the owner, then you have to fork. If you do fork, then it will create a new copy in your own account. Okay, I will show you this whole concept of forking and opening a pull request as well in this session. Watching is basically like you want to get notified about the activity happening in this repository. So if you are clicking on this all activity and you are clicking on watch and all activity, you will be notified about what's happening here. You will get email notifications, and you will get notifications here as well about what is the activity happening over in this repository. So that is concept of watch. I also covered about star and fork. So that is your about GitHub. And you can also search in here, like if you go to github.com again. Okay, you have your here tabs you have for opening your seeing your pull requests. So I have 7 pull requests open right now, and I also have 80 closed pull requests. And then you have tabs for issues for all of the issues I have opened till now, so you can monitor your own issues and pull requests from here. Marketplaces, again you can see all of the tools and things available for you all. Okay, and then there's an amazing tab for explore, where you can actually explore some of the all the repositories present on GitHub, and you can contribute to, right? So you have specific things here. You can search and you can explore topics according to topics and all of that. You can search the topics and you can see all of the repositories present on that topic. You can see which are all the trending repositories. So yeah, you can just visit any repository, see their code, understand their code base, and you can open your pull request or make a contribution, right? So all of these things are available here. Okay, and I think I'll show one more thing, which is let me go to this. And if you click on any of this, let me take it as open source. Let me click on one of the tags basically. So I'm clicking on tags. So I clicked on open source tag, and you can see there are like a specific option drop down for you to select from the language. So let me say you want to contribute to C++, so select the language as C++, and then you can sort according to whatever you want to, right? So better if you select it as recently updated, or kind of most stars, US stars, and all of that. All of these options, don't select, go for least recently updated. So let me click on recently updated, and yeah, you can see that this repository is updated 33 minutes ago, and you can also contribute to this repository because this is very active. So if you make a contribution, you will get a review instantly, almost instantly. So that is one of the things which you can follow, and you can also segregate based on the languages. So this will actually take you to all of the C++ repositories and all of that. So this way you can segregate and select the repository which you want to contribute to, and yeah, you can just get started with that.